Lenora Joan Seiler. Lenora was 13 on February 13, 1953. Her father dropped her off to meet a friend at a local movie theater in Valley Park, Missouri. According to the friend, the two girls had a great time. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, that is, until Lenora disappeared. One seemingly small choice would change everything. Lenora's father was a little bit late picking her up, and Lenora made the choice to walk the 8 blocks to her home on her own. Her father looked for her on the way home but couldn't find her. A school friend saw her 1 block before reaching the Seiler home, so we know she made it that far safely. There's no question the friend saw her, as she accurately described what she was wearing, so we know that she almost made it. Her mother was home and inside when she heard a car door slam and a child scream. When she ran to the window, she witnessed a vehicle outside with its lights off, speeding away. Unbeknownst to her, it was likely Lenora was inside. Her family immediately believed that Lenora had been abducted, and she called the police. As is pretty typical in this situation, the police were not convinced, instead insisting she was just a runaway. Family pushed back, and they insisted the quiet, well-behaved 13-year-old girl was happy and thriving. She wouldn't have run away. Absent proof of an abduction, it was treated as a runaway situation, where the child is expected to come back on her own. Only she wasn't, and she didn't. And I've had people in the comments mentioning, we talked about an 11-year-old boy named Sean Betts, who ran away and the police did the same thing, although this would be years later after Lenora. If they're 11 or 13, I don't understand not searching for them, but that's just my personal feeling on it. Lenora's father, Bernard, worked for Joseph Sonnen at Sonnen Products as a drill press operator, and the man handed him what could have been a blessing in finding Lenora. He offered the reward of $1,000 for her location, an amount that would be about $10,000 in today's money. It was this reward that actually inspired about 75 people in the community to endlessly keep searching for her in hopes of getting the payoff. It sounds a little disheartening, but at least they were looking. Despite all of the effort, no one could find her. It would be nearly 30 days before she was located in the nearby river. Lenora's body was found on March 14, 1953, tangled to the side of the Merrimack River. She was unclothed other than a St. Christopher's medal, which was found twisted up in her hair. The situation was odd, however. Her body was covered in mud, and the theory is that she had been buried and the body dislodged. Because the water levels were so high at that time and the current so strong, they surmised it was possible that she had a lot of mud on her. It would have had to have been washed off in the same way. They believe the water currents washed her clothing off, which I don't know if I'm convinced. What I personally find puzzling is if they believe the clothes were simply washed off, how could that happen without the mud being washed off? While the forensic examination found no evidence of any sort of assault, it's logical to expect that there was a reason for kidnapping a young girl, especially one that was found without clothing on. Lenora had undigested popcorn still in her stomach, meaning whatever happened to her happened that night within 5 hours of eating that popcorn. No definite cause of death could be determined, with the coroner leading toward asphyxiation. There was some confusion if bruising found on her body was done post-mortem, although the amount of bruising wasn't extensive either way. Her parents found themselves drowning in grief, with no answers forthcoming. Eventually, her church dedicated a baptismal fountain in her honor. Much of her story is told through article after article in the paper, but the one thing missing was who did this. In 1958, there was a sudden lead. A man named Denver Darrell was arrested for vagrancy in that area. This is where things conflict with newspaper stories and online recaps. Denver was either 22, 23, or 16, depending on which story you look at. I think it's likely he was 16 at the time Lenora died. The case was still handled by police specializing in juvenile offenses. Denver was considered an odd guy. It appears that he was living a bit of a transient life and he had been employed as a farm worker. He was arrested by the Kirkwood, Missouri police for vagrancy, and they found themselves shocked to see he was carrying around a newspaper clipping that described Lenora's death. and this was years after the fact. His parents had apparently moved from the St. Louis area, and he had reportedly planned to head to Michigan for job prospects. But he was picked up along the way. That said, Kirkwood, Missouri appears to be only about 7 miles from Valley Park, so the police were excited to finally have a lead on this case. And the case had rocked that entire community. Police found that people in the area were so afraid they even hired an extra officer to keep people safe after what happened to Lenora. And in this instance, they did what any good police officer would do, and they seized the lead and they questioned the man. Much to their relief, he confessed to the murder. He said he found her at a bus stop and he attempted to strike up a conversation. He then rebuffed her and struck her on the head and threw her in the Merrimack River, which was overflowing at the time. So much of Denver's confession conflicted with the facts. The interesting thing about this conversation is it has so many echoes of so many reports over the years, where it's likely the police led a confession. Perhaps in a way it wasn't even understood at the time that it was happening and a part of history. It's oddly specific. So much of Denver's confession conflicted with the facts. Denver's aunt and uncle promptly came forward. They explained to the police the boy suffered from a mental illness and he'd been hospitalized on and off. He had been attending a special school for what they describe as handicapped children. As soon as he saw his family, he admitted that he'd made up the entire thing. The police were understandably frustrated and they didn't know what to believe. They were somewhat relieved when Denver agreed to a lie detector test. The results, according to the police, are that he passed with flying colors. They now believed his story, but they're back to square one, because with that, the only lead disappeared. We know that she wasn't at a bus station, and we know she likely made it almost all the way home. Who did this remains shrouded in mystery to this day. Caroline Diebold Seiler passed away in 2003, and her husband, Bernard Seiler, passed away in 2008. Neither knew who took the life of their daughter. Sadly, this is the last of the story, as the police quietly closed it for a lack of leads. Lenora Joan Seiler's murder has gone unsolved for 69 years. If Lenora had lived, she would be 82 today. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. We have new episodes every Monday and Thursday. Take care of yourselves and each other.